Hey everyone, today I'm bringing you a strategy that I've been talking about for a few days on stream, but I decided it was finally to put it into practice and to then make a video about it so that I get the word out. And the strategy basically comes down to the fact that when you assess all the different sextant mods you can roll with an Awaken a Sextant, it turns out that Awaken a Sextants are actually worth close to 14 Chaos Orbs in value each, even though they sell for 5C. Now, the reason this is the case is because when you roll Nemesis, you can sell Nemesis on a Watchstone for about 2 Exalts. And as you can see here, if you figure out the weighting or the chance to roll Nemesis per Awaken a Sextant, each Sextant that you use is worth about 4.7 just for Nemesis alone. But obviously, if you add all the other mods in that you can hit, you get this much higher value. Now, for the sake of this video, and because of the fact that actually selling or using up all these other different mods is going to be very complicated, time-consuming, and bothersome, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to condense it down to these 4 mods, which I feel are the most valuable and the ones that we sort of care about. And before we get into this, I'm just going to do a brief explanation of what I'm talking about here. So the total weight of all sextants with Awaken a Sextants is 18,775. And if you block the other 3 sextants that you're not rolling with, you get 15,775. So what do I mean by that? As you can see here, we have additional monsters that heal, we have additional monsters that deal lightning damage, and additional monsters that deal fire damage. All of these types of mods are 1,000 weighting each. Doesn't matter which one you get, just roll 3 of these, and then you know that your sextants are blocked. So when you roll in this slot, it can never hit one of these 3 types of mods, because you've already hit it in this Watchstone. In this region of the Atlas. And that marginally increases your chance to hit a more desirable mod here. So, and that's what we've done. We've based all our calculations off the blocked weighting, not the total weighting. Now, when you're rolling, it's very, very, very important that you either use Valdo's Rest Watchstones or you use unique Watchstones, the ivory ones. The only ivory one that you don't really want to ever roll on is, let me find it right here, Irresistible Temptation. And the main reason you don't want to roll on this is because it can add an additional random prefix to a map, and that means adding Reflect to the map. No one wants to risk adding Reflect to the map, because then they may brick a very expensive map. So that's the only one you never want to roll on, and I guess you also don't want to roll on Misinformation, since that is technically a very expensive ivory watchstone that I believe mostly sells for 1 or 2 Exalts on its own. So the ones we have here are just ones I had left over. It doesn't really matter whether they're at max uses or not, since people only care that it has at least as many uses, well, basically 4 uses, so that you can get through all of these sextant rolls, since you're going to be rolling 4 sextant uses. Another thing that's very important is when you are rolling, you make sure that you have this little thing, this passive here in the Uncharted Realms, sextant modifiers have 1 additional use. This means when you roll a sextant, you're going to roll with 4 uses instead of 3. Now, the reason why I recommend against using Valdo's Rest Watchstones is because if you do land Ritual, you may not be able to get as much money as you want for that roll, as people prefer Ritual in Haywalk Hamlet, and there are other strategies involving that, which I'm not going to get into today, but nonetheless, they will sell. And you're still going to make your money. So we just use a combination of ivories that we had left over and Valdo's Rest ones. And I've put aside 450 Awakened Sextants for the sake of doing this test. I had a lot more, but this is the second take recording this video. The reason is that the first take of this video, I made a little too much money, and I then felt it wasn't really fair to show the strategy off because it may be setting expectations way too high. We more than tripled our money basically off the first test, and to be honest, I'd rather that we get a little under average from what we were expecting, because then it won't end up with people having these really high expectations that don't get met, and then they end up feeling like I have deceived them in some way, or that this strategy is just a means of me baiting clicks out or something like that. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it. We're going to start with this one. You just slot it in here after you've blocked your sextants, and then you're going to start rolling on it. And just to recap, we're only going for these, okay? We're going to add it up at the end of the test, and just in case you're wondering, the value for each of these is added up here. So if we are only going for these 4 mods, the value per sextant is about 9.84. So considering we're buying them at 5, we're almost doubling our money just by rolling sextants, okay? Now, let us begin. You don't want to roll too fast because you may roll over some that are important. I have done that before. Doesn't matter that much. Here we go. Already 1 Nemesis. Actually, we are going to just put them in here so that we don't accidentally roll over them. Okay. Yet again, we're getting insanely lucky. I'm not doing a third recording of this video, so we're just going to roll with it, I guess, this time. And I'm just going to make a point that this is insanely lucky, and you shouldn't expect to get as lucky as we're getting. I think we're going to roll over traders. You can sell traders, but we're just going to roll over it. Okay. I think this test is going to end up being more luckier than the first test, in fact. It's okay though, because from my experience, you do go on very large streaks of not hitting anything worthwhile. So it averages out over a large period of sextants. Jesus Christ. Okay, we have 3 Nemesis and 1 Delirium Mirror already. We have lots of... We may actually run out of Watchstones. If we run out of Watchstones, I'm just going to conclude the test and then base the profit off of the amount of Watchstones, the amount of sextants we have used to roll. Now, another thing is that if you have a large supply of Watchstones, what you really do want to do is to just put aside the Watchstones that you hit. So when you hit Breach, when you hit Legion, Blight, that sort of stuff, even Harbinger, we're going to roll over this, but you want to put them aside and just keep them for yourself, because you can use them, you can get personal use out of them and make additional money off them. And because the Ivories typically have like 12 or 15 uses, you can use the 4 sextant uses that you've rolled on them and then re-roll them again in the future for more money. Yeah, so, oh, anyway. Sacred Grove. I'm going to put that aside as well. I know I didn't include that in the graph, but that one typically sells for 60C, so I think it's worth keeping. My god. Okay. I'm making money for free today. Beyond? Okay. Awesome. Gonna save that one. I don't know what to say, guys. I really don't know what to say. This is... You shouldn't be allowed to be this lucky. Well, we're almost out of Watchstones. Which is fine. Which is fine. You know, the fact that it twice in a row has been very profitable kind of just goes to show how ridiculous this strategy is. Before I tally these up, I'm just going to take you through some pre-prepared trade tabs, just to sort of show you what you can expect to sell these for. However, I'm not going to go through every single one, just the ones that we've mentioned on the second graph. So every time we roll over Legion, we're losing about like 30C. Okay, so we've just lost another 30C rolling over it. But we're making that much money anyway that it doesn't matter. See, we're going to lose money rolling over Harbinger, but again, we don't really care. Something to keep in... Oh. Okay. Yet another Nemesis. So, the thing I was going to just say then was that something to keep in mind is that the Harvest, the Ritual, and the Delirium mirrors are 2.5 times rarer than Nemesis and Beyond. Okay, so we're done. Let's just group them all up, and then I'll take you through the trade tabs, and then we're going to just tally up our profits. So we got 3 Beyond, we got 6 Nemesis, we have 1 Delirium, and we have a Sacred Grove, which would just... how should we calculate that exactly? I guess if we calculate it as 0.25 of a ritual, since that's its approximate worth, we can do it that way. Oh wait, no, I was gonna show you the so first off, Awakened Sextants, 5C each in bulk. Okay, Beyond sells for about 85, 90. I know these are listed a day ago, but they will sell. You have to be patient. So I sold a lot of these that I rolled as part of Nemesis farming the other week. And they took a little over a day to sell, but they sold in the end. So if you were to drop this to say even 70C, which we can just do here, right? Do it here. We can just drop it to 70C. You'll get a very quick sale. There are groups that are using these. Okay. Nemesis, as you can see here, 1.9, 0.8. You know, in the case of this person who listed this 3 days ago, it may be the case that because they have 3 uses, it hasn't sold at this price. They've mispriced it. They typically only sell if they have 4 uses remaining. If you have 3 uses on it because you forgot to take the Uncharted Realms thing, then you're going to want to price it at around 1.5x. Okay, but these are all going to sell easily. Ritual, as you can see, close to 2x, but more likely around 1.7. Okay, so wait, what did I have it here as? Yeah, so I didn't price it fully at 2x. We're just going to assume. We want to keep our values conservative, just, you know, so again, you don't end up having higher expectations about the amount of money you can make. Now, this one's a little bit different. So for those of you who have been, I'm going to release another video regarding the Mirror of Delirium and why it's so profitable. But at the moment, simulacrums are worth about 1 Exalt each. When you're doing Nemesis farming on Promenade with the Mirror of Delirium Sextant modifier, you get approximately, at the very low end, the minimum when you're juicing that map is 100 splinters per map, plus a Delirium orb. Quite often you get far more than that, so I'm actually just going to show you guys that real quick. Although I'm going to make a separate video on this, I just want to give you a quick glance at what you can expect, so that you understand what I'm talking about for the sake of this video. So, first up is that. So as you can see there, this was our largest haul that we got in a single go. 189 simulacrum splinters and a single daily orb, and this is how we got it. We had 8642 rewards in Promenade with a Mirror of Delirium, and I believe I took the screenshot. Oh yeah, no. So this was in the middle of the final ritual. Anyhow, okay. So that's why my Delirium mirrors are measured at 85C per map, because if you're getting 100 splinters in a map, that's worth 50C, and then the Delirium orb is worth about 35C, so that's 85C per map. They're worth more than 85C per map, because this doesn't include the extra rare monsters that it adds to the map that counts for your Nemesis loot. It doesn't count the extra Delirium monsters being added to the map that drop loot of their own, such as cluster jewels and whatnot. Doing all this farming, I got numerous high-value cluster jewels, and on top of that, the Delirium loot itself can high roll stuff like Scarab rewards and all that, in which case you make bank. And on top of that, this was, again, just at the minimum value of about 100 splinters in a map. As you can see, it can go all the way up to about 190. Though, it's more often than not going to be closer to 100, but just the fact that it can go almost twice as high shows you that. So this is a very conservative value. Probably more appropriate to put it at 100, but we're just going to put it at that. You're not going to... You know, you're only going to sell these for 1x, though, so I suggest if you roll a Mirror of Delirium, you probably just use them for yourself while you're doing Nemesis farming and your favorite Promenade maps, but you can check that video out to find out how to do that. Okay, and Sacred Grove, as you can see here, 60, 70C, goes up quite rapidly to 1x. Not too popular. I'm probably just going to put it at 60C, to be perfectly honest. If you think about it, Harvest costs 12C to pop as a map mod, and then you get a bit of extra value out of having it as on a Watchstone with a Sextant modifier, because it allows you to pop Harbinger as the Zana mod, so you can stack them up. So think 60C is fine. We'll even do less. We'll do 0.2. Okay, so we'll just add this as 0.2 so that it's worth 50, so that we can keep really conservative. Delirium quantity was 1, Beyond quantity was 3, Nemesis quantity was 6, and then we have to figure out the amount of sextants we used. This could take a bit of time. Wait, these are 5. Hold on. Okay. Alright, we'll just do some quick math. So what? 2, 3, 4, 5 columns of 6. Wait. 60, 120, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 213. So 62. If I've calculated the real amount of sextants, I'm sure we can figure it out, and you can write it in the comments, and I will fix this up and perhaps make some amendment in the description of the video. But so as you can see, the cost of the sextants we use was that much. We profited that much, and so in the very brief amount of time we spent doing what we just did, we made ourselves 8x. That was the quickest 8x of my life, honestly, right there. So there you have it. That's the strat. It is insane. If you do this and you lose money, just keep going. It will average out over time to the point you're roughly doubling your money. So, and turns out, even though it did appear that we were getting lucky, it cost us this much, and so we actually did kind of double our money. So that actually was on par with what was expected. Although I really feel like I've calculated this incorrectly somehow. Anyhow, no big deal. Yeah, so that is, yeah, no, 450. Yep, so that's the strat. If I've made a mistake with the math there at the end, just because I'm on the spot recording this video, you guys can correct me, because I am certainly not perfect, but yeah, truly insane money. You don't even have to really work hard for it. Just bulk buy the sextants, roll them, and then either, you know, this is the thing. If you're having trouble selling any of these, just use them yourself. Plop them down on a promenade map, roll your maps for a Nemesis, and just start running them. You're going to make absolute guaranteed bank. Nemesis sells for 2x, and that is not overpriced in the slightest bit. It's good money, even if you're buying the Watchstones with the sextant mods at 2x, okay? So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're unsure about the Mirror of Delirium stuff, watch my other video that's going to be coming out at around the same time, and that will give you a better explanation of that one. Have a good one for now.